Hey everybody, this is Doug with Artfully Rogue, and welcome back. So I have a friend over on the East Coast, and he's about to have a birthday. So I'm gonna make him a little toolbox that he can keep his little tools in. Should be kind of fun. So I started with a paper template, which then I obviously traced, and then once it was traced, I then cut it out, surprise, surprise. And I have a small break from Harbor Freight. I'm just not real pleased with how it bends corners. So I felt that this was going to be the better option for me, is to just do this by hand. It actually went pretty quick. One of the things I could have done in hindsight is offset those little tabs a little bit so it closed a little cleaner. But it was uniformly not closed properly. And I did the same thing with a bottom. It was 18 gauge, bent up the corners, made a little tray. That's going to drop right into the box itself. Now, before I permanently attach the bottom to the box, I want to cut the top off. That way I know that the box stays nice and square. I can actually weld the bottom from the inside as opposed to the outside. The ruler that I'm using there is 1 inch wide. That's going to be the width of the lid. So for this, I'm going to only cut 3 sides. Before I actually cut the 4th side, I am going to attach the hinge. That way I know that it is going to be exactly where it needs to be. Once I cut the hinge, I went ahead and drilled some holes in that, and I just weld through those holes onto the 18 gauge. And it's a little bit of a cleaner look, because you can go back with a flap wheel and clean up those welds, as opposed to, say, having the rivets, which leaves you a little nub on the inside of the toolbox. This particular hinge is probably overkill, but it's what I had in my shop. With the final cut, that hinge is attached. Now the lid flips open and closed. No problem. Everything lines up. So now I'm going to make the inside tray. Same story. I used the 18 gauge, folded up the edges, did some welding. Now I'm going to cut the tabs for the inside, bend those so that I can put those on the inside of the toolbox for that little tray to sit on. Voila, 2 tabs. Those are welded in, and let's put the tray in place. But guess what? I made a mistake. Apparently, I wasn't paying attention, and I didn't make it the right size. That's not going to work. Start over, make another box. This is going to be the handle for that tray, and as you can see, I have a new tray. Now I have a handle. Now the tray fits in the toolbox perfectly, and I'm happy. This is a handle I welded up real quick. I'm going to put that on the top, and I thought about welding, but I figured, hey, let's keep it clean. Let's do some rivets. These are aluminum rivets. I wish I had some mild steel rivets, because when I like to rust things, I like it to be able to rust whenever I'm rusting everything else. And there's the inside of the box. You can see the little tabs right there. Those get cleaned up with a little wire brush. Now here's the box, and look! It's magically painted along with the tray. Gosh, you gotta love video. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make a little hasp. I was going to pick up a store-bought toolbox closure, but didn't have time. And so I figured let me take part of that hinge and I'll make a little hasp that goes on the front of the toolbox. This is a little piece of rod that I had, kind of make that little hinge pin. It's a little loose, so the hinge itself kind of wobbles back and forth. And then this is my buddy's name, Derek. You may know him, Derek from Malden. He also has a channel, Instagram. You got to check him out. He's got a lot of fun stuff there. So I am actually painting on muriatic acid now. Make sure you wear gloves, a mask, and some goggles, because this stuff is acid and it's toxic. But what this does is this cleans up the metal and it gives me a nice layer. So when I spray the hydrogen peroxide on, it rusts immediately, as you can see here. And it gives you kind of a really fun copper-looking patina. Now I'm going to peel off these letters, and where those letters were will be Derek's name. so those aren't rusted, as you can see right there. Now some of the rust leaks in a little bit. I'm okay with that. It adds character to it. Now I'm using a Deft spray. This is a semi-gloss that I spray on there to seal everything up, and that way it is finished. El finito. Hey, thanks for taking the time to watch this video. It's greatly appreciated. I'm sure that he's going to enjoy this little toolbox as much as I did making it. I'm sure I could make some improvements on it in the future, but this was definitely a fun little project. If you haven't already subscribed, do so now. And if you'd like to leave a comment, make sure you do that too, because I always get to my comments. We'll see you in the next video.